First-time visitors into Puerto Rico, especially to the old San Juan area, simple cannot leave without visiting El Morro. According to the San Juan National site of the National Park Service, the fortress is one of the most impressive structures of the island. Within its walls, you can bear witness to nearly half of a century of military history that began with the Spanish conquistadores and ended with the World War II. Good evening, Dr. Council and fellow classmates, friends, and family here present. My name is Madeline Figueroa, and today it is my privilege to talk to you about the fort El Castillo de San Felipe del Morro. Today I'm going to be talking to you, or we will learn about the description establishment of El Morro. Its importance in Puerto Rico history, and El Morro National Park as a tourist attraction today. El Morro, which means promontory, meaning a high point kind of rock projecting into the sea. Its construction began in 1539 under the authorization of King V of Spain. It took over 200 years to build it. As Edgardo Rodriguez Juliai mentioned in his book, he has a very unique way to describe it. The book title is San Juan, Ciudad Sonada, and he described it, the Campo del Morro, that promontory that kept building over the entrance to the bay, looking like an enormous, seemingly stranded ship that was a blank canvas for twilight visions. This is a very interesting way because in his book he described Puerto Rico when he went there and how different areas that he visited in the island. The fort is located on the head of the land overlooking the entrance of San Juan. This is the entrance of the San Juan area, and as you can see, it's beautiful in that area. The main purpose of the fort, it was to defend the Puerto Rico port of San Juan's access. El Morro is one of the most enduring symbols of Puerto Rico because it is a symbol of resistance and strength. And as you can see here, it looks it's a very big fortress. In her article at the National Parks, the Caribbean National Parks, Natalia de Cuba Romero described that El Morro is made up of 6 staggered levels, incorporating dungeons, barracks, passageways, and storage rooms. El Morro, we can see here, El Morro has a rampart where cannons face the oceans, and the garitas or sentry boxes. And we can see a garita here. It was used mainly for village. They are located all around the outer walls of the fort. And it's important to mention that the garitas are an unique symbol of Puerto Rico. In addition to the garitas, El Morro have a lighthouse, which is here in this picture. This was before, and this is today. And this one was rebuilt by the United States in 1908 after it was damaged in 1898 in the Spanish-American War. Okay, now before we continue learning more about El Morro, let's enjoy this short clip about the fort entitled Why This Giant Puerto Rican Fort Kept Growing from the Smithsonian Channel. Let's take a look.
In 1539, the Spanish began building even larger defenses that would become the jewel in Puerto Rico's crown, a fort known simply as El Morro. Even before it was completed, El Morro suffered multiple attacks. On the night of November 23, 1595, a British privateer named Sir Francis Drake and 1,500 of his men launched an assault on San Juan. Drake wanted to burn Spanish ships in the harbor so England could get its hands on their gold. But he and his men were forced to retreat empty-handed, except for a few Spanish prisoners. More attacks on San Juan followed by the English, Dutch, and French, and so the Spanish kept increasing El Morro's defenses, turning it into the massive triangular fortification it is today.
Wow, this is an amazing and very interesting clip about El Morro. Okay, now let's move on to find out the importance of El Morro in Puerto Rico's history. First of all, to be able to understand the meaning behind the fort, let's go through some of the history and the significant and important role that it played within the island history. In an article from the New York Amsterdam News, Resource and Travels, Higgins described the history side of San Juan, including El Morro. The island was conquered by the Spanish, African, and native Taino, creating a hybrid race which become Puerto Ricans, and that's where we're coming from. By the late 1800s, Puerto Rico was an independent country, but was sidetracked by the Spaniards' War. This impressive fortress was originally built and used by Spanish colonists to defend the island of attacks. So that was the main purpose of the fort. In 1898, through the Treaty of Paris, the island was invaded and given to the United States, which enforced a military rule until the 1900s. And in 1997, the island officially became a colony, and the American citizenship was imposed, and at that point the United States renamed the status from colony to Commonwealth or Estado Libre Asociado, which translates as Free Associate State, and today's day still the same. Okay, let's proceed to show you a timeline and some of the points, main points or important points of El Morro. I prepared for you some of those important points. In 1595, Sir Francis Drake fails in his attempt to attack El Morro. In 1598, the Duke of Cumberland battled his way to El Morro, not by sea but by land, and occupied the fort for 6 months. They have to leave the fort because their men got sick, and then they returned to Spain at that point. In 1625, the Dutch attacked San Juan, but El Morro resists on the leadership of Spanish Governor de Haro, and the captain helped on the local Puerto Rican militia. In 1630, the construction of the city walls started and were completed around 1678. And those are the same walls that we see today. Those that were built at that point. In 1797, the British, with several thousand men, invade Puerto Rico and once again attempt to take San Juan. But once again, El Morro and the Spanish were able to defeat their attacker. In 1898, El Morro fought its final battle when the United States Navy bombarded the fort during the Spanish-American War. The fort suffered a lot of damage from the chilling, and war ended with the signing of the Treaty of Paris. That's when Puerto Rico became part of the United States. In 1942, as part of the U.S. Second World War preparation, El Morro was fortified with a concrete artillery observation post and underground bunker. And that's how exactly it looks today's day. Okay, it's been a lot of learning, and now let's keep learning about some of the history of El Morro, and let's find out about El Morro becoming a national park and a main tourist attraction. So in 1993, the United Nations declared El Morro a World Heritage Site administered by the U.S. National Park Service. El Morro features a maze of secret access tunnels, dungeons, and a museum. And very interesting to go and visit. And today is one of the most popular attractions in Puerto Rico. As I mentioned before, this wall fortress was one of used to protect Puerto Rico from invading colonies, and today offers visitors a dramatic reminder that history to Puerto Ricans, it has become a sort of staple image to pride and nationalism. I always remember being a young girl and always going to visit El Morro and I always was able to transform myself to that time. It was very impressive for me as a kid to be able to see that. Now to summarize, El Morro National Monument, also known as the Castillo San Felipe del Morro, offers a glimpse into Puerto Rican history as well as some of the best views in the city, as we can see here. When you have a chance, you really need to go and visit the island. Even though the island is in a crisis right now because of the passing of Hurricane Maria, as you may hear. But in the future, just consider to go and visit this beautiful island, this beautiful paradise, because you will really enjoy that. Now, thanks for your attention, and if you need any more information, feel free to contact me to give you some guidance with the island. Thank you.